If you're constantly going or having repeated arguments with your partner, with your spouse, so you should try to understand that repetitive arguments stems from the fact that there are underlying issues that you and your partner haven't sorted out or have not sorted out. So what I do advise people in this case, what I would personally advise you to do is to look at the root of the argument, the root of the issue. People do make mistake trying to look at the surface level. We don't advise looking at the surface levels of argument, because there is always a cause for arguments. Argument don't just stem like that, don't just come up like that. There is always a reason that arguments always and constantly happen in your relationship. So if you're one of the couples or one of the spouses experiencing current repetitive cycles of argument, please, I do advise and take this advice really, really seriously. Try to talk to your partner. Like I said earlier in the past video, communication is the key. Communication is always the key. Please do communicate with your partner. Do always try to figure out the reason why you always have this argument, or what even triggers these arguments in the first place. So do try to look at it from the root level and try to see how you can make that better by identifying the cause of the argument and looking for a way to solve the problem or solve whatever the reason for the argument is. Now, a lot of people do also tell me that it is normal for couples to argue about money. Yeah, in the part of that, it is so normal. A lot of couples do have disagreements, but where I do not agree with that question or that word normally tell me is where they say it is normal for couples to argue about money and all that. Well, like I said, argument is not normal. A lot of couples do disagree when it comes to money and financial issues. And my advice to you, if you're experiencing that in your marriage or relationship, is to try to talk to your partner about your financial goals and your financial status. A lot of couples do have the issue where the wife is richer than the husband and the husband is richer than the wife. And sometimes when couples do see that one of them is richer than the other, it can tend to raise a lot of envy and resentment, and it can also bring a lot of inequality in the financial aspect of the marriage. So I would advise couples, do talk to your spouse about the financial issues going on in the home, especially when it comes to income. We do know that when two people are married or two people are in a relationship, of course they are not perfect. And apart from being not perfect, a lot of couples do realize that they have certain differences, and that has to do with spending. Some couples spend more than the others. Some couples are quite economical. So in that case, you can have two people who are married or who are in love with each other. You can find that one of them is more economical and more managerial, has managerial skills, and the other person is more of a spending person and luxury person. So in that case, communication plays a huge role. So instead of having to always disagree and then that disagreement going into argument, I do always advise couples, please talk about this. Talk about it. If you have a spouse who is not working, or a spouse who intentionally does not want to work, or a spouse who feels so entitled that they don't have to work and all that, I would also advise for you to not only communicate with such a partner, but also make the partner see the reasons why he or she should be earning income for the family and for themselves, for their own financial security, in case you, who is the breadwinner, who is bringing the money, have issues that cannot make you, that would make you run into financial crisis, that can make you provide money for the family. So in that case, a lot of things have to play into the whole scenario. Talk to your partner. Also try to create opportunities where your partner can experience what it feels like to be on the one side, and to be one side, or be the only one having to provide income for the family, and always have to go through the issue of expenses. Now, a lot of people don't know that there is a huge connection with stress and arguments. There is just this huge connection. A lot of people don't know this. Arguments has a lot to do with stress. The stress could be from the aspect of the emotions, could be having a stressful day at work. It could be the stress from the outside world, pressures, economical pressure. It could be job pressure. It could be career pressure. It could be pressure from family and friends. It could be financial pressure. Whatever the pressure is, a lot of couples experience intense stress, and majority of couples that do find themselves having to fall into repetitive argument circles and all that, I do always realize that stress always has this major role to play. So I don't tell couples, do not allow stress to come in between you. And the one way not to allow stress to come into your relationship and be a barrier or be the reason why you can enjoy your marriage and relationship, go for stress therapy. Try to reduce the amount of stress that gets to you. Don't let stress get to you that much. Go on vacations, have time with your partner. Try to unburden. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't burden yourself too much, or try to overthink things, or try to stress yourself by being too hard on yourself, because a lot of people do always have this issue of being too hard on themselves, because they want to achieve a lot, or achieve more than what is required for them. So that's where the whole stress issues comes in. A lot of spouses can relate with this when they're at home, having a great time, and they're expecting their spouse to just walk through the door after a day of work smiling, and what they get in return is having to see a spouse that is moody or doesn't even want to be responsive to jokes or affection or sex or whatever it may be. So in that case, I do always advise them, when you see a spouse like that, don't just tap into the emotion right away, because what a lot of mistake that people do is try to just tap into that emotion, this negativity coming with the person instant, and try to feel what the person is feeling at that moment, and that includes reduced energy and anger and a lot of things, and things always go wrong with that. So what I do advise couples is, when you see your spouse coming like that, the one thing you should do is try to calm your partner, ask them how the day went, do things to cheer them up. And one thing you can do to cheer them up is trying to do what they love. If your partner loves presents, and he or she's having that, you could just get them a present. You could prepare them their favorite meal. You could talk about the things that they like. You could try to bring up a good news, or try to watch a show, or make them. Sometimes some spouses that are going through stress they really just need space, for that moment. Maybe they want to go have some rest, or they want to sleep and all that. So they just need space. So in that case, you should try to give them that space to heal, and not try to put on. So a lot of spouses do tell me that they experience, lack or a breach of communication when their spouse looks stressed out and all that. And I always tell them it is wrong. It is so wrong. Why I call it wrong is not because it's wrong in quotes. It is wrong because it can trigger the wrong emotion or the wrong outburst, and you don't even want that, or the wrong reaction from your spouse. If your spouse is walking through the house and you can see that they have this they are being unresponsive, and they have this feeling of being sad, or maybe you're spotting out some stress levels they are having, what I do advise is, don't try to talk to them about it instantly. Don't try to ask them why they are like what they are currently, or why they are acting that way. It could just stir up something else. They could be defensive, and they could feel like you're triggering something. Sometimes you could say something that you don't mean, or something that doesn't mean anything, and the person can pick it up. Your spouse can pick it up and think like you're trying to get back at them and all that. That's just psychologically. So you have to understand when your spouse is stressed up. That's why I say communication is key, and understanding. You have to be able to read the emotions on your partner's face and their behavior to really know when to and when not to. So a lot of couples make this mistake, trying to talk about your own problems or what happened to you while your partner is unresponsive or even stressed out. You're not going to get the best from them. So I wouldn't, just for example, a lot of people do tell me that when they want to talk to their spouse about maybe there's no food in the house, or maybe there's no fuel in the car or gas, or maybe money when it comes to asking money for shopping, or maybe money for groceries or something, and they have this experience where they're trying to talk to their partner about this, and their partner just gets into this explosive outburst that is really not good. And they always tell me, and I say, no, that's really, really wrong. We shouldn't even talk to your needs at that point. At that point, it's so wrong to talk to your spouse about your needs or the needs of the family when they are going through stress or when they're having a bad day. You should let them cool off. The first thing that they would expect you or want you to do is talk about them. Try to make them at the center of everything. Try to make them happy. Then when you see that they are so relieved, a bit relieved, then you can now bring in the issues you want to bring in, or you can now bring in other things. So I will tell couples that it's very, very good to maintain respect during heated discussions. Respect is very crucial because it's the issue of lack of respect that leads to arguments, heated arguments. Somebody doesn't just get triggered by what you do. It's what you say, especially when it comes to couples who are living together. It's always the answer of what she said to me and how she said it to me. So couples should really be respectful, and that goes down to words. The words you use and how you use those words, and the tone and manner which you speak to your spouse can lead to arguments or heated. It can even lead to one partner hitting the other partner, and then you talk about domestic abuse and physical abuse. So I do always tell couples that try to be respectful, know the words you use, the tone and manner in which you use them, and please don't bring in discussions that are not related to what is happening. Don't bring discussion in a spiteful manner. Don't bring discussions that despise, that bring in this despicable feeling that that make a partner think you're despising them. So that's what I usually do advise couples. Now, a lot of mistakes that couples make is arguing in front of children. It is wrong. It is so wrong. You shouldn't be doing that, because arguing or having an argument in front of your kids, it just ruins the kids psychologically. It can give the kids nightmares. Children don't like to see their parents argue. It reduces the morale of kids. It reduces the self-esteem. It brings them from here to here, and it's really not good for their psyche and their well-being and their growth and their mind, whatever you want to call it or however you see it. And so you can see that when couples are arguing, if you've been in a scenario or you've been in that spot where you see two couples arguing, and you see them arguing in front of their kids. If you look at the reactions of their kids, maybe the facial reactions, you could see that the kids are either scared, worried, or sad. Some kids even go as far as crying when they start seeing their parents have these heated arguments. Children get scared, and some of them cry, and some of them turn sad, and that is not good, because when these kids go out there, they see they might not be there, or they might not understand and know that their fellow children's parents do have arguments. But for the fact that their fellow kids don't talk about having to see their parents have arguments, they feel that their friends or their fellow kids' home is more perfect than their home, and that could tell a lot. That tells a lot. That makes a kid have a very troubled life and a troubled teenage year and adulthood. So I do tell couples, please stop arguing. Please, if you're a couple and you're watching this and you're arguing in front of your children, it is terrible and it is bad. Seriously, you need to stop. Stop arguing in front of those kids, because while you're arguing as a couple, you will not even know when you will say things that are secret, or that have been a secret between you and your spouse, and you just say it out in front of your kids. Imagine saying out a lot of shit in front of your kids, things that you don't even want. You wouldn't even want your kids to even hear in the first place, and now you're just saying it out to them out loud, things that kids shouldn't hear. And a lot of kids even do hear profane language and profane words, despicable words from their parents when they're arguing, and that is not good. It's not good. And then you see these kids taken outside to the school environment. You see these kids taken outside to the church, to the mosque, whatever it is. And you begin to complain when people tell you how bad or how terrible your kids sound using profane words, or how your kids are acting unnatural and weird. And you begin to feel so troubled as a parent, don't even knowing that you are the cause of the whole thing. So I don't like it. And I do advise parents, couples, lovers, please stop arguing and fighting in front of the kids. Please, you can argue, you can do what you want to do, but please do it away from the children. Don't ruin the life of these kids. They are too precious for that. They are too young. Their mind cannot take that. Their mind, their brain, whatever it is, their emotions are just too tender to hold that in. And that is bad. You can imagine how arguments can have the detrimental effect on your emotions and your mind. So you can imagine how as an adult you feel the whole of the week when you and your partner have an argument. Just imagine how those babies, those kids, those children you have would feel when they see you and your spouse having an argument. So it's just not good. And I do tell couples love language play a huge role. Like I said earlier in the first part, if you haven't seen that video, please go back and you will see the first video I did on arguments. Love languages is a good way to end arguments and resolve it. Please, if you know that your partner has a love language, maybe they like hugs or kisses or romance or PDA, public display of affection, or maybe presents of gifts, I do advise, please go for it. Now, the role of compromise in resolving disagreements is very essential. You must be able to sacrifice your needs, your wants, your emotions to make your partner happy or your spouse happy. It's very, very important. After all, that's what love is all about. Love is always genuine when there's a lot to sacrifice for and to be sacrificed for. There is no love without not talking about yourself. That is love. Love is always about the other person. And then the other person makes it all about you. It's reciprocal. It's something that has to be reciprocated. So I do tell couples, please try to reciprocate and try to sacrifice. Try to let go. If you really love this person, there are certain attitudes, certain behaviors, certain thought forms, certain opinions, or certain societal programming that you need to let go and grow over so as not to destabilize your current partner. And now, arguments can lead to personal growth or it can lead to a damage of the relationship. Couples that have stayed for years or that have become perfect, majority of them did so after they had arguments or series of arguments. Some don't even last. Some couples don't handle the argument and it makes them go into divorce and breakups. Why? There are this other percentage that always have this strengthened relationship after the argument. So it's all about what you're ready or willing to do to better your relationship. Some learn from arguments and become so self-aware of themselves and their partners. Some even go as far as growing the relationship because they understand that they have now really gotten to understand their partner, and in this case they can do so well. So I do also tell people that you can also avoid blame and focus on solution. You should avoid blame and focus on solutions if you're a couple and you want your marriage to last, you want your relationship to last. Please stop blaming on your partner. Stop blaming your partner and look for solutions. Yeah, your partner might have caused the argument, might have caused or done something really terrible to hurt you or hurt the relationship. But what I do always advise is, could you just stop blaming? If you could stop blaming and try to find a solution, that would be much better. You know, your partner will really appreciate it that you stop blaming them and move on. And you stop blaming yourself for those of you that did something that really hurts the relationship, hurt the love, or hurt your partner. You could stop blaming yourself so that you could have this happy life and find solution. Look, people don't know that if you don't stop blaming yourself, you cannot find a solution. You have to stop the blame before you can realize and want to find a solution. You cannot find a solution when you keep on blaming yourself or blaming your spouse. So it is very important that you do avoid blames and focus on that. Now, I've talked about this before. If you have unresolved arguments in your relationship, it could really destroy physical intimacy. That has to do with sexual intimacy, emotional intimacy, and affections, such as kissing, hugs, and physical emotional connection with your partner. You have to resolve your arguments or resolve the root of your arguments. If not, you're going to have a dead sex life. You're going to have a loveless relationship, a loveless marriage. You know the scenario where people say, oh, I feel so loveless in this marriage, I feel so loveless, how do I get into a loveless relationship? This is what arguments do. Hinder, destroy and make you feel so loveless, make you feel so empty, turn you and your partner to just roommates. That is the most terrible thing. That is what everyone who is in love dreads. Everyone who is in love dreads to have to come to this point where they feel so loveless, So we should really, really try to, resolve our arguments. So it is healthy to, a lot of people don't know this, it is healthy to revisit old arguments only on one condition: if you are referring to the old arguments to be a better person. If you're you're going back to the old arguments so you could, try to adjust or put things together, I'll try to cite in a lesson you've learned or a lesson you think your partner should learn from the old argument. Aside that, please don't. It is so wrong to revisit old arguments if you want to use them against your partner, or if you want to use them to make your partner feel bad, or use them as a sort of gaslighting. Please don't. Stop there. You should refer to old arguments in a way that it is going to be helpful or help your partner to walk over things. So you must balance your individual needs with the needs of the relationship. People don't know this, and this is where I'm going to stop, because it's more than enough. I think I've cited more than enough reasons, more than enough scenarios where couples can argue, and there's loopholes where arguments can come and break up and divorce. And one of them is, as a couple, you need to balance your individual needs and also balance the needs of your relationship. And that includes desires, dreams, ambitions, and all that. You need to know or learn that you have to balance it. What are your ambitions? What are your desires? How do you intend to grow? What are your long-term plans and goals? This is why you need to always communicate. You see, everything that has to do with arguments and having a lasting and fulfilling marriage and relationship boils down to communication. Communicate this to your partner. If there is no communication, like I said, there is going to be a loveless relationship. You cannot be an island. Man is never an island. So you must communicate to get the best out of somebody. So you must communicate openly about your ambitions and goals. As a couple, please do not hide. I do advise intending couples, so people who intend to go into a relationship, who have decided to be together, please sit down and discuss. And one of the things you should discuss, I do recommend 24 hours discussion for people who intend to be couples or who intend to be in a relationship. And what I recommend to be discussed in 24 hours time frame should be your ambitions, your goal, your personal growth. It should be on the table. You should be able to tell your partner the kind of ambitions and what you really want, because telling them that will know how two of you can work together and balance it and know what should come in first and what should not come in first. So that is so important, and that helps create boundaries. That helps your partner understand you. If you want to be a career woman, or you want to be a businessman, or whatever you want to be, you should communicate this to your partner at the first instance when you want to be in a relationship with them, or even in the middle of the marriage, because sometimes we do have this change that comes to us later in life. It might not be at the start of the relationship, but you just saw it during the course of the relationship. And I do tell couples, please do sit down and communicate with your partner. Remind them that this is what you want, so you can help two of you to plan and then see how you can create a balance. So this is all that's required. So this is Breaking the Enigma show, and I am Aerissa Stormrage. So you can do keep up, like and share. Bye for now.